started with, ano? No, we can get started with Ilocos Sur. All right. Habang nag-aantay tayo, I think we can move. The first presentation was supposed to be from Ilocos Norte. Habang inantay natin, I think we can go ahead with the presentation of Ilocos Sur on the situation. Si Gov. Jerry will give us meron yata kayong video.
Apo madaydayo nga Presidente, Bongbong, Apo Senator Aimee, digitay agkakadayaw nga opisyales ti Pagilian, pakairamanan, digitay dumadumang line agencies of the government, my fellow government workers, kada tayo amin, naimbag nga aldaw. I would like to present the situational report. I would like to present the situational report of Ilocos Sur due to the Super Typhoon Egay. Through our ABP, we can watch our ABP which we prepared.
Okay.
This is the Quirino Bridge, the old Quirino Bridge. We opened the Quirino Bridge as a tourism destination. May ilaw siya at saka sounds. At the eve of the anniversary of the traumatizing 7.1 earthquake last June 27, 1 year na po yun nakakaraan, ito na naman, the agony of the Egay Typhoon. Ganyan po, kalaki yung tubig na galing sa Abra, pataas ng pataas hanggang nakuha yung tulay. At naianod na yung dalawang span na tangay. The volume of water went down to Bigan and Metro Bigan. So, flooded po lahat ang Metro Bigan. Lahat po ng mga bahay, daming nasira, mga gamit nila, mga animals nila, lahat ng gamit nila, lalong-lalo na mahihirap. Sila ang mismong tabi ng ilog, mababagar, seriously damaged. Yung ating mga infrastructure na marami pong na-wash out. Yung mga tulay natin, maraming nasira. Mga kalsada, ito, mga wall. Hanggang gabi, kinagabihan, ang hirap na saklolo sa kanila. Kasi wala kang makitang kalsada, puro tubig. Very hard to penetrate yung nagpapasaklolo. Brown out. Walang signal. May mga na-injured at anim po ang namatay because of Egay. Yan po yung affected population, 28,000 families. 138 members of the 1,000 families. Yan, mga roads, bridges, spillways, communication-related incidents. Sa Kapitolyo, ginawa na namin evacuation center. Ito yung mga nasa gip natin. Hanggang ngayon, nasa evacuation center pa yung iba kasi hindi pa pwedeng bumalik sa kanilang bahay. Wala nang bahay yung iba, sira yung bahay ng iba. Yan po ang situational report ng Ilocos Sur, Mr. President. Sana po matulungan nyo kami, bumangon ulit. Numampay the Ilocanos, as we say, are resilient in whatever damaging kwan dyan, pero we still need your help, Mr. President. And with all the other line agencies.
Thank you.
And sir, if I may, remember July 27, 2022, earthquake po yan. We were victims of earthquake. Nasira yung ating ancestral buildings, mga ancestral churches. Nangako po ang NCCA, marami silang nagpunta noon, binisita kami dahil sa bilin mo, sir. Sabi mo sa akin noon, lahat ng agency ng gobyerno tutulong dyan. Awa ng Diyos, natupad naman, pumunta silang lahat. But then, after a month, nangako yung NCCA, eto na yung amount, this amount will go to this. 5 million up, kaming bahala, 5 million down, kayong mga local government. So we did our part, nagawa na namin. But 5 million up, sir, I would like to let you know, wala pa po. 1 year na namin noong July 27, eto na naman, Egay.
Okay. Can we hear from DSWD how many people are in the evacuation centers? How many displaced are outside of the evacuation centers?
Mr. President, I actually called the governor the other day. The numbers kasi keep on moving dahil...
Of course.
Yeah,
Well,
but
whatever we have
our
now.
same numbers, when I got my report,
the-
it's at 22,733 families. Pero dun sa report ni Gov, lumaki na ulit, naging 28,000 na eh.
kasi
So this was printed last night, so I think dumami pa ho. Mr. President, for Ilocos Sur, we have 18,870 food packs on the ground. Some of them have already been distributed, some are still with us. I actually spoke to the governor the other day, sabi ko nga ho na anytime they need more food augmentation, it's in our warehouse and ready to be distributed. So the number is, I guess yung kay Gov na mas accurate, 28,000. Sa amin, 22,000 families.
Can we go back in the presentation to see the damage, the damages? Mabilis kasi kanina. No, yung listahan. Oh, yeah. Yeah, can you stop there? 28,130. Gosh, what effect was it? 28,000. This is your latest number. Okay. Can we keep going? Yung konti pa, a little bit. Next slide. There's another slide after this. Oh, stop, please. Okay. Walang crops. Pag sinabing roads 49 are available, ano yung 49?
Yung mga nasa may diferensya po,
Ay,
mga damages.
Okay. Oh. All right. Thank you. Okay.
Sir, I will submit our detailed
Sige.
situational
All
report,
right.
sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gov. Sige. Ito yung kailangan natin. Yeah. Sige. We'll go through this. Okay. Siguro, before we go to study in detail the Ilocos Sur situation report, we can now hear the situation report for Ilocos Norte. Gov Matt, if you would like to proceed.
Good morning. Magandang umaga po. Ay magabigat. We'll just keep it brief. Unang-una, of course, allow me to greet President Bongbong Marcos Jr., everyone from the different NGAs, my fellow governors, Congressman Sandro, our mayors, lahat ng kasama po natin. Magandang umaga. We can skip this slide. Of course, as we know, we were under Signal 4, no? At its peak. Next slide, please. These are preliminary data wherein we had 233 barangays, almost 17,000 families, and almost 60,000 individuals. As far as we're concerned, though, everyone was affected due to the blackout and persisting blackout that we're experiencing. In terms of houses, we have almost 1,300 partially and almost 100 completely damaged. As of this time, as of yesterday, no one remained in the evacuation centers. Everyone had returned home. But our issue has been certain isolated areas wherein we've been either by foot or by air delivering food packs. These are not national roads, but the smaller roads that remain unpassable, specifically Vintar, Dingras, Pitig, even Paway, certain isolated areas. Next slide, please. We had a total of 4 casualties.
Wait, those areas that we cannot get through, have we made an assessment at all in the
Yeah.
Vintar, Pidig?
So everyone has been served, thanks to our mayors.
So the numbers that you're putting up include them already?
Which ones? But
The ones that were displaced, the ones that
yeah, they're certainly
kasama na
included.
yan dyan.
But,
Okay.
yeah, they're
Alright.
certainly included.
Yes.
A total of 4 deaths, as mentioned, all due to drowning. Next slide, please. These are some of the isolated areas that I mentioned earlier. Solsona was another one.
Always.
Next slide, please. As of today, we've already distributed over 10,000 food packs, primarily thanks to DSWD. Actually, I'd like to thank all of our NGAs who have really been very helpful. OCD, DSWD, DOH, DPWH, lahat po have really been contacting me directly ng mga RDs and even from the central office. Nagpapasalamat po kami. We also have our mayors obviously picking up large numbers of food packs since last night because thankfully naka-uwi na po from our sauna lahat yata ng mga mayors natin. Kaya very untimely also that some of us were caught in Manila. But thankfully, I think everyone has really stepped up.
Yung LMP, nag-attend ba kayo ng LMP? Oo, kaya pala. Oh, yun. That's why.
In fact, si Cap Elmer nasa Hawaii yata, nasa States umuwi once he saw the forecast of the typhoon. He said he couldn't be on vacation once he saw the forecast. We can proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, this is Lawag as mentioned. Lawag especially really needs a long-term solution. I think one thing we need to look at, of course, is the dredging of the river systems, the drainage. In fact, sana we can work with DPWH also to...
They rescued over 2,000 people with 3 little rubber boats.
Yeah. On Wednesday night, thanks to the 4th Marine Brigade, dozens, perhaps hundreds of lives were saved, especially in Lawag, but in other areas as well. So we thank the PNP Maritime, the Navy, even Gov Jerry sent a group along with the Navy. No? Nagpapasalamat po kami. The search and rescue on Wednesday night was extremely burdensome at very, very miraculous also in a way. Next slide, please. Here are our damages. Total of over 2.8 billion. Primarily DP and town infra, mga cities at mga municipios po. So of course, long term, hopefully we can address these, but in terms of accessibility, that's our priority, as well as the food packs for the most part have been covered, but we will continue to do so. But I think in terms of housing will be the immediate need. And of course, water, drinking water, as we turn back on our electricity. I've asked the mayors also to consider partnering with water stations to make sure that everyone has drinking water. Next slide, please. Our agri damages brought over 361 million, primarily rice and agri-infra. Also lots of livestock. Ito po ang paborito ng mga kakailian natin. So we're hoping also for additional livestock assistance from BAI under DA, and NTA I know also has. Next slide, please. This has since increased to 25%. For INEC, our backbone is already fully restored. And for the barangay coverage, we're at 25%. I failed to mention NIA Administrator Nani Almeda, who has also been extremely helpful and sent 9 teams from neighboring co-ops to assist INEC. As of course, this is paramount and urgent. Next slide, please. INWAD quite quickly got back on its feet, and as of yesterday was already at 88%. Next. Ito na lang po ang mga smaller roads na non-passable. I'm sure, Uncle Bong, you know many of these roads and have experienced these yourself, no?
Even Isik is closed.
Yeah, Isik, certainly. So as you can see, this is similar to the isolated areas, no? Next slide, please. That completes our brief presentation. And as I mentioned, SecRex has committed 25,000 food packs. So I don't think our food packs are an issue. Drinking water is still a need. We also have 4 choppers from the PNP, so that will really help reach the far-flung areas. Our priorities now, as mentioned, are water, electricity, housing.
Okay. Yeah. So, what are we doing about the water supply beyond providing bottled water? Yung sa purification, wala pa tayong. OCD, Ariel, are we bringing? Have we brought water purification units?
Good morning, Mr. President. Yes po. Kaya lang, dadalawa pa lang ho yung nakarating na water filtration machines natin. And then, of course, from the other regions, we will be sending more. Meron lang ho tayong 17. So, dalawa pa lang ho nandito. Then, 1 big truck from Cam Aguinaldo is on its way.
Ano yung mga how big is that? You know,
Yun
yung 500 gallons?
Opo, yung pong big truck can produce 24,000 liters a day. And then yung malilit lang ho yun okay. 6,000 liters per day lang po yan. But we have sent to already. Then we will send more from the other regions. Isang filtration machine lang po per region kasi ang available.
That's what's happening na daw. Galing lang kami sa Cordillera. Ganun din ang siguro talagang tignan natin. Marami na naman. We'll have to look and see to increase our capability because this is not. It looks like this is going to be happening more often than we hope. All right. Yung sa kuryente, where is INEC?
Yeah, this is at 25% na po. I'm not sure if anyone here is from INEC. Hindi po nakapasok.
No INEC here. I was just worried because of all the provinces, we are the lowest in terms of having come back. Is there a particular reason? I heard about the
Yeah.
mistake that somebody made that destroyed some of the power.
Right. That's what started the blackout in the northern towns po sa Pasukin by the bridge. One of our DPWH projects. The equipment took out the power line, basically.
Yeah.
That's what started it. But then obviously after the typhoon hit harder, we were all out.
What does INEC tell you? How long is this going to take?
Well,
Do they have to look at all the lines again?
yeah, thankfully I also asked RD Renel to help inspect kasi at least kung hindi maayos, at least ma-assess ng mismo para masabi sa INEC kung saan yung mga damaged pa. And to help with the clearing and the posts and such. But obviously the electrical has to be handled by INEC and similarly skilled individuals.
Pero tinutulungan naman tayo ng linemen, may linemen na pinadala yung mga ibang probinsya, mga ibang cooperative.
We have 9 teams po. So
9
yeah,
teams.
9 complete lineman teams. So
Okay.
the improvement and the energizing should really pick up now kasi kakarating po nila, and NIA Administrator Nani set the goal of Sunday, which is now tomorrow. So I think they projected na within 2 days with all these teams, baka kaya po.
Okay.
So hopefully by tomorrow.
By tomorrow, how many? What percentage do you think we can get?
All, if not
How much
most.
you get?
Yeah,
Most,
that's the plan.
Okay.
100% sana by tomorrow if we work extra overtime.
Because we were able to give the generators, but the generators are maliit lang eh. 8 kVA, di ba? 8 kVA. So, pang para sa equipment. Okay, now, who can give me when we were flying over, nakita ko yung agri damage. Sino makapagbigay ng report ng agri damage dito sa where's your OPAG?
Yeah, I don't think Attorney Pancho is here, our agri head, but we have a slide here. I think it was 361.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
that's
this is
not yet
still,
finished,
this will
yeah.
still increase, unfortunately. Primarily rice and agri infra po, and
Yeah, I wanted to ask because from the DA's point of view, what's the damage? Is it something that is it flooded? Pwede pa ba? Or kailangan na mag-provide ng bagong binhi para mag-plant ulit? Yung mais, ganun din. Yung high value crops, kailangan, hindi naman, malagay ko it's mas madaling problema yan kasi mabilis ang cycle. Pwede tayo makapag-provide ng seeds para dyan. Yung infrastructure, may may assessment ka na ba dun sa ating mga irrigation na facilities?
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, fortunately po for rice, karamihan po is nasa vegetative stage pa po. So I think yung mga karamihan sa damage po natin sa crops is mga high value po. But meron na hong nauna kasi, but karamihan ho is vegetative. Sa infra po naman, dito sa ating mga national irrigation systems, sa Ilocos lamang po is 394 million as of yesterday. Nag-evaluate pa po kami, sir. So, kailangan po namin sa estimate namin, mga around 20 million.
Ano yung mga damages?
Well, yung mga siphons, canals, may nawas out po kami mga canals, lalo sa Sulsura, sir eh. Malalaki po yung
Ano
damage.
na naman? Lagi dyan.
Fortunately lamang po, napansin namin ho, sir, yung mga dams namin below ng mga sabo dams,
Okay.
ay mas lesser ang damage. Kasi,
Talaga?
yes, ang sabo dam po kasi, sir, is like a weird dam eh.
Nag-umpisa sa Sulsona, kaya wala
Yes,
pa silang
Opo.
hindi na pang makontrol yung...
Kaya yung mga maraming damages, for example, sa Bintar, wala pong mga sabo dams dyan eh.
Wala.
Kaya yung mga malaki po ang sira, sir. But yung mga may sabo dam, medyo na-mitigate. Like in the case of Karasi, nasira sana yung ating Cora Dam kung wala po yung sabo dam doon. So, sabi ko nga po kay Director kanina, dadamihan pa nila yung para po yung velocity kasi ng tubig pagbaba, pag may weird dam, sabo dam, nalilesen po eh. So anyway, ang bulk po ng sira ng infra, sir, ng irrigation is sa Ilocos Norte. For the whole Region 1, ang estimate po namin is around 500 million. Sa Ilocos Norte lamang po is around 400 na eh. So, and yung immediate repair na kailangan po namin is around 50 million. Kaya tinabihan ko na po yung OCD dito, sir, para mabilis ang usapan.
Okay.
At yun po, sir.
All right.
So,
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, these are the main issues. So, nagre-rescue pa ba tayo? Meron pang mga stranded na kailangan rescuein?
No more,
No more? No
rescue
more?
operations.
Okay.
More of relief distribution.
Relief distribution. So, tayo na natin. So, how do we distribute basta ibibigay lang sa mayor, all our food packs, we just give it to the mayor.
We turn it over to the province.
To the
and
province, and
will
same,
be allocated.
yeah. Okay, ganun din sa so, yeah. That's
Rarely through the mayors, but certain barangays we've also contacted directly to validate also, no, that they're all right, and we have turned over to some capitanes, and at the same time informing the mayors of that turnover, to at least make sure, you know, that we can also go direct to the capitanes.
Yes. So, but are there enough? You said it's not an issue. There are enough food packs.
Yeah.
We're all right. Okay.
Thanks to SecRex, we have more than enough food packs. Our problem is how to distribute.
Good. No, that's not that's a
problem.
better problem than not having any. Okay. So we've moved away from the rescue part. We're now in the relief, and we have to start thinking about since nakauwi na yan, may rebuilding yan, repair, and then wala tayong human settlements, but they will also provide assistance in those that were fully destroyed. I think at 96 fully destroyed residences. So yun ang pwede na, that's what we are going to do. But I will bring these reports to them. Anyway, I'm sure that this is hindi pa ito final. Baka dadami pa ito. Oo, but anyway, just send me your reports kahit na hindi pa kumpleto, para at least alam namin kung ano yung takbo. More or less, we'll just keep preparing and padala kami ng padala ko ng kailangan. All right, let's move on now to the La Union situation report.
His Excellency, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., Senator Amy Marcos, Congressman Sandro Marcos, to my dear colleagues of the League of Provinces, my dear governors, to our friends from the national government agencies, to our dear secretaries present today, our dear mayors din po, na imbag nga aldaw kada tayo amin apo. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all of you, from our friends, of course, to our dear President, to our friends from the Senate, our friends from the Congress, and our friends from the national government agencies for reaching out to me personally and to the provincial government of La Union for any assistance that you may be able to provide to help us in our plight, especially during the effects of the Super Typhoon Egay. I would usually reply, La Union is faring well, because if there would be provinces who would need immediate assistance, it would be the provinces of Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur. But now, given the chance to show to all of you our presentation thus far on the partial situation report on the damages done on La Union by Super Typhoon Egay, please allow me to have your attention for a few minutes. So this is La Union situation after Egay, PH, as of July 28, 2023. So we have a total of 91 total incidents. 77 of these are flooded areas. 25 have already subsided. We have 1 collapsed bridge for inspection, 9 rain-induced landslides which have all been cleared, and 4 stranded individuals who have already been rescued. So most of yung roads naman po natin and yung bridges na na-damage po, it's not part of yung national highway po natin and main road. So mostly mga inner roads na po siya, yung mga na-damage po natin. We have a total of 15,800 families affected, 61,900 individuals, and a total of 268 barangays out of the 576 barangays in the entire province affected. And we only have 1 reported injury po. So no deaths reported po as of today. So, moving on, ito po yung roads and bridges natin. 17 have been affected. 3 are already passable, 14 not passable, and we have 1 unpassable bridge po, which have been temporarily fixed by the municipality involved, pero kailangan pa rin po sanang ayusin para hindi lang po siya yung temporary na pwedeng magamit.
Why are the 14 still not possible? Ano yan, landslide o nasira?
Sira
Na-erode-
po,
na-erode
Mr.
na talaga.
President.
Nag-erode sa ilalim.
Yes po, nag-erode na po.
That's harder to fix.
Yes po. So moving on po, yung next slide po natin. So for our power, a total of 167 barangays experienced power interruptions. Pero as of yesterday po, we have about 152 restored. I actually received a call from Governor Matthew as well yesterday para makapagkuha po ng assistance sa mga local cooperatives po natin who are connected din po with Ilocos Norte para kahit papaano po makapag-assist din po kami with the power restoration po dito sa Ilocos Norte. And then, to add nga po pala doon sa last slide po natin on infrastructure damage po natin, I have about 2 damaged health facilities in the province po, which was just reported to me by our regional director of the DOH. We have yung Caba District Hospital amounting to about 2 million pesos in damage. And we also have yung Rosario Health Center po natin located in Barangay Parasapas, Rosario, amounting to 736,000 pesos lang naman po yung estimated damages for that. So moving on po tayo. Next slide please. So yan po yung power natin. Next slide. Damaged houses po, we have about 845 total damaged houses with 68 being totally damaged and 777 partially damaged pa po. So this is just yung, again, partial situation report. Probably lumaki pa po yung mga numbers po natin pero as of yesterday, yan po yung nakuha nating numbers. Next slide po tayo. Cost of damages po natin, estimated damage to agriculture is about 37 million pesos and estimated damage naman po to infrastructure is 295,000 pesos. Pero yung nga po with more reports coming in, mukhang lalaki pa po yung mga infrastructure estimates po natin. Next po. Preemptive evacuation, nagkaroon po tayo ng preemptive evacuation. 7 evacuation centers were used po to house 42 families and a total of 123 individuals. Next. Assistance provided, we had a total 4,300,000 cost of assistance po, and majority of this came from the Department of Social Welfare and Development. So thank you very much, Secretary, and to our proactive regional director then po for always keeping in touch with us. And we also have, syempre, from yung mga local government units po natin, from the provincial government and non-government organizations din po. Next slide. As for disaster preparedness, so ever since po na we were raised to red alert status, La Union 911 Public Safety Answering Point was activated 24/7 and 100% of our local DRRM operation centers were activated, and of course 100% of PDRRMC member agencies are always in constant coordination. But as of yesterday po, yung red alert status po ng La Union, nababa na po namin sa blue alert status. Next. Rescue augmentation, we also sent rescue augmentation for Ilocos Norte. Nag-send po tayo ng jet ski and diving equipment and a total of 5 water search and rescuers po natin. Pinadala rin po natin dito to help po with the search and rescue efforts of Ilocos Norte. Next. Recovery assistances. So ito po yung mga urgent needs po na kakailanganin ho natin sa La Union. For agriculture, of course, we'll need subsidy for damaged harvest po natin. As of now, wala pa po akong numbers if meron din po bang livestock na mga nadamay po during the typhoon. Pero once the report comes in po, we'll be in constant coordination with our DA. Funds to repair damaged agri-infrastructures, of course. For infrastructures naman po, we need to repair yung mga damaged bridges and roads po natin. And yung main priority po talaga is yung housing for typhoon victims. But more than housing po, if we could also appeal to DSWD to help us with yung emergency shelter assistance po natin for cash assistance na pwede po nating mabigay for those whose houses were partially damaged po from the typhoon. And of course, tuloy-tuloy pa rin pa naman po yung relief efforts po namin. As of yesterday and today, yan po yung tinututukan po natin. Additional relief po for victims, pero we are in constant coordination din naman po with our regional director with regards po dito. So, yun lang po. I believe that's the end of my presentation. Tuloy-tuloy po. Naniniwala po ako basta tulungan po tayong lahat. And of course, being one region po dito sa Region 1, you can expect La Union to provide assistance din po sa mga neighboring provinces natin whenever needed po. So thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Thank you for the assistance that you provided the province. Maraming salamat. So I think the agri situation is a little better than Ilocos Sur and Ilocos Norte, and even in the Cordillera. But the infrastructure is a bit, kung talagang nasira nung ganon. At mukhang dito sa atin, yung infrastructure, ang tinuman, yung Quirino Bridge, can you imagine, naputol yung dalawang span, natanggal yung dalawang span. So,
Mr. President, kahit na anong development ang gawin natin, will go to waste if our rivers will not be dredged. Kasi the volume of water coming down, wala nang ilog namin, flat na, silted na silted. Kaya ang tubig, rumaragasa sa bukid, sa mga bayan-bayan, wash out ang tananim, wash out ang mga bahay. So we need to dredge our rivers, Mr. President.
So ito naman sa La Union, the damage to agriculture is 37 million. That's still, it's not a small number, but it's manageable. And I think it will, as I said, I'm pretty sure, I'm making the assumption that it will increase. But the thing that we have to look at is the infrastructure. But we will get the details from the OCD report. But before we get to that, Pangasinan has a presentation also to make on their situation regarding Typhoon Egay.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the province of Pangasinan, I'd like to present to this body our good President Bongbong Marcos, our Senator Amy Marcos, Deputy Speaker Congressman Sandro Marcos, of course, members of the local chief executives, members of the cabinet, regional directors. Magandang tanghali po sa ating lahat. Mr. President, this is a situational report of the province of Pangasinan. This is primarily based on data that was submitted to us some 6 p.m. yesterday with some minor updates that were given at some 6 a.m. this morning. So just a quick background on the history of the past few weeks, Mr. President. We raised a tropical storm signal number 1 from July 24 to 26, and then July 26 it was raised to typhoon signal number 2. Eventually, on July 27th, the typhoon signals was lifted, and only orange and yellow rainfall alerts were raised by Pag-asa in the province of Pangasinan. Next slide, please. As part of the preparedness of the province of Pangasinan, I could say, Mr. President, that the province of Pangasinan relatively fared again well compared to the other provinces here in Region 1, especially compared to Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur. There were massive early preparations done by our disaster risk reduction management offices as early as Friday, and we have already prepositioned the necessary goods in the strategic areas as early as 72 hours before the arrival of the typhoon. Next slide, please. One of the major response operations that we had, Mr. President, was when our brothers and sisters from Ilocos Norte called. We also sent a group of 8 PDRMO personnel, particularly water assets here in Lawag, Ilocos Norte. As far as relief operations, we'd like to thank the DSWD for at least 2,600 family packs that were already released as of yesterday. And for today, July 29, there are still additional schedules of releases in at least 3 municipalities. Next slide, please. As far as the impacts of the typhoon in the province of Pangasinan, there are 81 barangays that were affected, 50 of those coming from the 9 municipalities and 1 cities that are under the political jurisdiction of the province, while all municipalities under the Gupan City, which is an independent component city, are affected by the floods. As of 6 p.m., Mr. President, there are 245 families or 970 individuals who were evacuated. But I was informed earlier today that this number has been reduced to 219 families, amounting to 593 individuals. So there's already a reduction of the evacuees, and we're expecting this to go lower in the next update at around 6 p.m. As far as environmental impacts. There are reports of fallen trees in several areas, with one major landslide in Malico, San Nicolas, Pangasinan. That's the Villa Verde path connecting the province of Pangasinan and the province of Nueva Vizcaya. But this was cleared yesterday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so that path is already passable. As far as infrastructure, Mr. President, there's a total, next slide please. There's a total of 32.9 million pesos worth of infrastructure damages among all the 6 districts. But these are all relatively minor infrastructure damages.
Damages to what?
More on farm-to-market roads, Mr. President.
Yan.
Yes, but very minor. There are no reports of impassable national or provincial roads in the province of Pangasinan, as well as bridges that cannot be accessed. So all major roads and thoroughfares in the province, both national and provincial, and even in municipal roads, these are generally passable. Most are on farm-to-market roads that were washed off by runoff. I'd like to add, for agricultural damages, we have already reported damage of around 69 million, with bulk of the damage coming from the corn production, which is actually the season due for the harvesting, kaya marami po tinamaan. We're very lucky that during this moment, as far as Palay is concerned, nasa early stages po. So flooded sila, but we will know in the coming days kung recoverable po yung damages sa Palay. We also have 5 million damages as far as high-value crops, and around 876 as far as fisheries. We also reported 1.1 million pesos worth of damages to livestock. As far as the damaged houses, 89 partially damaged and 14
Pag
totally
sinabi mong
damaged.
livestock damage, anong ibig sabihin yan?
Yung sa general infrastructure po ng mga livestock
That's the
facilities,
infra. That's
infra
not
as well
about-
as some of the, as well as yung kanilang mga produce mismo, yung mga livestock, mga nilipad po ng mga poultries, mga manok, but very minor po. Ang reason po niyan, Mr. President, is that we have no reported flooding due to the releasing of the dam, because as of right now, the water level in San Roque is only at 258, which rose by 6 meters as compared to yesterday due to the release of being a dam. Pero malayo pa po ito sa spill level ng San Roque, so wala pong releases ang San Roque. What the province of Pangasinan is experiencing is runoff from the torrential rains over the previous 72 hours. But over the past 24 hours, tumigil na po. And today, we're only expecting light to moderate rains in the province of Pangasinan. What we're monitoring right now, Mr. President, is the impact of the rising waters in Sinucalan River, which is affecting Dagupan City primarily. Because right now the water level in Sinucalan is already at 7.8, which is already 0.8 meters higher above the critical level. So umaapaw na po yung Sinucalan. This can affect also the adjacent municipalities of Calasiao and Santa Barbara. Pero primarily po, lubog po basically ang Dagupan City ngayon. I don't have the exact figures of Dagupan City, but that is the general situation. All barangays in Dagupan City are experiencing flooding right now, Mr. President. So as far as casualties, we have no reported cases of fatalities or casualties in the province. And like I said, the Pantal-Sinucalan River is what we are monitoring because it's still rising in the past 24 hours. That's why the Dagupan City has already declared a state of calamity yesterday through the resolution 8073-2023. I'd like to echo as well the statement of Governor Rafi Ortega of La Union, that being a member of the Ilocos Region, the province of Pangasinan is ready to extend any assistance to our fellow brothers and sisters in the Ilocos Region, Mr. President. That will be all. Thank you.
That's it. All right. Siguro malayo-layo na ng konti. Kaya ang Pangasinan from its further south, so not so severe ang damage. But I think all of that, especially wala na kayong evacuees.
It already got lower as of 12 noon, Mr. President. Pero ina-expect namin, karamihan po nasa Dagupan and Calasiao area po kasi kung saan tumataas po yung Sinucalan. But that number already went down earlier.
Anong forecast ninyo sa tubig, sa water level? Pagbaba ng tubig galing Abra?
Wala po kasing release ang dam, sir. So
Yes,
ito po
wala.
ay run-off talaga ng mga ulan. But since the past 24 hours, light to moderate na lang po, I'm hoping that the 12 noon update should show a decrease in the water level of Sinucalan. If that would be the case, bababa na po, magre-recede na po yung flooding sa Calasiao, Santa Barbara, and Dagupan City.
All right. Okay, thank you. Mukhang at least that's some good news. It's not Pangasinan was not so hard hit. Now the overall overview rather of the situation as it came and what we are doing now. We will get the briefing from the Office of Civil Defense. Who will give us the briefing?
Thank you, Mr. President. For the to present the consolidated report on the initial interventions and assistance provided to the entire region, may I call on our officer on the ground, retired General Greg Cayetano, our regional director for the Office of Civil Defense, Region 1.
Your Excellency, President Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr., sir, Senator Amy Marcos, members of the House of Representatives, members of the Cabinet present here, our Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Antonio Lagdamero Jr., our Region 1 governors, vice governors, and mayors present here. Morning po. And our CDAU Sec Ariel Pumbusan, sir. And National Line Agencies present here today. Allow me to present the monitoring by the OCD Region 1. But may mga data po dito na kailangang i-update lang natin kasi medyo because of the events that happened, medyo nahuhuli po yung ibang data. Next slide, please. So ito po yung aming data. But I believe there are notable data here like dead, only one. We only recorded one. It's because that we are stringent in verifying with the DLG as to the cause of death, whether it's disaster related or not. Basically po, may apat na po tayong confirm ngayon. One lang po ang nalagay muna. There are incidents that namamali po kami mag-report ng dead pero hindi naman pala disaster related, which is why we are really dependent upon the local government units and the DLG to confirm, to include the death certificates for the dead. So ito po ang flooded areas pa sa La Union. We have declaration of state of calamities in 2 provinces. Next slide, please. So ito po yung sa status of lifeline. We recorded 32 roads not passable but nag-decrease na po ito. And we have 3 bridges not passable in La Union. 73% of the affected LGUs electrification were restored but this is still subject to confirmation po. Medyo kailangan po namin ng tulong na makakuha talaga ng real-time data from the electric cooperatives sa Kasanea. Then we have 6 flights canceled and communications interruption of 6. We have, but this one, 275 damaged houses, ito po ay dependent po kami sa pagre-report ng mga PDRIMOS sa amin. Pag medyo nalilate po, medyo hindi rin po tumatama yung aming figures. Pagpasensyahan niyo na po yung aming figures. Next slide, please. So ito po yung non-food items that have been provided by the OCD Central Office as shown for Ilocos Norte. Initially po, we were able to provide upfront 2 8.5 kVA generators on the night of the dilubyo po and 1 75 kVA. Yun pong available sa aming opisina sa San Fernando. Pinadala po namin dito kaagad. And eventually, more generators are coming.
So when you average it out, it comes up to 75. But I heard source also not.
Okay, next slide please. We now go to the different agencies that exerted efforts to respond to the disaster. So dito po sa amin po, sa Operation Center ng Regional DRIMC, we monitor the AOR. We strengthen the risk communication, yung risk na posibleng tatamaan ng mga lugar based on the forecast by Pag-asa. And we have been downloading this to the PDRIMSOS and the INDRIMOS. Ang intention po namin sana, when we declared the Emergency Response Protocol Charlie, ito po yung signal sa mga PDRIMSIS and MDRIMSIS to really consider mandatory evacuation. Kasi po, palagi po namin ni-remind na pag hindi po tayo nag-i-evac, mas mahirap po yung rescue. Mas malalalim po yung mga i-rescue natin, nanganib po yung mga rescuer natin. And there are cases na yung rubber boats po natin hindi niya kayang salubungin yung agos. Which is why nakita ko po yun dun sa Central Mindanao, sa Agusan Marsh, that they can manage the flow of the flood by using slim boats with outboard motors. Kaya ito po ay nakaka-negotiate upstream to defeat the flow of the current. Pero ngayon, itong ating rubber boats, susceptible hindi lang sa mga sharp objects, but hindi rin po masyadong makagalaw because of strong current. If you will note in the pictures, hindi rin sila mapunta sa lalim because yun po, natatalo ng agos. So, we released memorandum for preparedness measures on 19 July, including preemptive evacuation, and basically no activities at coastal air waters within AOR. We initiated, we administered the regional pre-disaster risk assessment analysis. Yung po mga area na tatamaan. Mga member po ng regional and DRIMC ang nag-discuss nito. And then we raised our blue alert we raised blue alert on 21 July and declared red under Charlie of the Emergency Preparedness Readiness Protocol on 24 July. Wala pa po yung bagyo, may araw pa, nag-declare na po tayo ng red. Nag-declare na po tayo ng red, and then yung mga preemptive actions, pinapagawa na po namin sa mga provincial DMOs. Next slide, please. We were augmented by the detailed duty officers from the different agencies in our Emergency Operations Center. We attended various meetings and media interviews for dissemination of the warnings. We initiated series of weather updating sessions, and we did a response cluster meeting on 26 July para ma-ready na po sila sa mga gagawin nila. Ang readiness nila, ang prepositioning of resources and manpower. Then we activated the Regional Incident Management Team, which is composed of the different line agencies members of the Council. And we facilitated just this morning unloading of 67 PMS gensets from C-130 today. Next slide, please. We also deployed 6 gensets, kanina mention ko na po earlier, and provision of water filtration device for Ilocos Norte, R1MT, and provision of non-food items for Ilocos Sur and Ilocos amounting to 1.6 M. For DSWD po, they have a total of 3.4 million funds for support to the affected areas. Ito po yung breakdown ng kanilang support. Family food packs at 38.7K. Non-food items at 28.02K. Bottled drinking water at 736. Raw materials equivalent to family food packs at 5.9K. And a standby fund. Okay. So next slide po. Sa APPNP naman po, continuous po yung search, rescue, and retrieval operations, including clearing operations, evacuation of affected residents, tumulong po tayo doon, but unfortunately po, yung mga ni-rescue namin were the families na ayaw mag-evacuate. Maybe because they need to protect the properties also. But ito po yung naging problema namin. Then we help in the hauling of relief packs and welfare goods and relief distribution. Next slide po. Sa DOH naman po, they deployed the DOH-CHD1 Regional Office and Response Team. 37 from DOH and 27 from the Ilocos Training and Regional Medical Center. Medical Public Health, Water Sanitation Hygiene Emergencies, Nutrition in Emergency were prepared. Mental health and psychological support sa evacuation po. Commodities delivered noong 27 July were first aid kits, heavy-duty cot beds, hygiene kits, water containers, amounting to 191K pesos. Also for medicines and for tablets for drinking water amounting to 7,736. and various medicines amounting to 182,000 pesos. Other delivered commodities on the 28th was still various medicines amounting to 477K pesos, first aid kit amounting to 68,000 pesos, sanitation kit, and purifying agents amounting to 766,000 pesos. Next slide, please.
But of course I don't. But
For the DPWH, they also have activated their own disaster and incident management team. They preposition quick response assets, QRAS, manpower and equipment.
Can we get to the part where we have the actual figures of exactly the damages and what we're doing? Like for example, we're doing something that we do in government. When asked how did you perform, you say how much you spent. That doesn't really tell us very much. We need to know how much you spent, but we know for how many kits is that, how many food packs is that, how many families have been reached, etc., etc., etc. How many more are needed? That's we have to get down to the nitty gritty of what we're going to do moving forward.
Yes, sir. Noted, sir.
Oo.
I will just skip some of the slides na medyo walang laman.
Oh, sige. We'll just go to the parts where we can so that we can assess the damage, because the SOPs are okay. We do that all the time. So tingnan na natin yung specifics nitong situation na ngayon.
Yes, sir. So for the Department of Agriculture, ito po yung kanilang, please play. Ito po yung kanilang na-prepare, prepositioning of, for rice amounting to 1,900 bags.
What is that? Yan yung kailangan o yan yung ibibigay?
Yan po yung sir yung available na piniprepare nila. But
That is available for?
For distribution, sir, according to their reports to us.
All right.
But hopefully the DA can assist us in giving us more particulars on this. For rice, hybrid regular, 1,900 bags. Hybrid, also 1,500 bags to cover 1,500 hectares. Certified seed buffer, 1,000 bags for 500 hectares, intended for 500 hectares. Ito po yung ini-earmark nila. Then for corn, OPB seeds, 400 bags for 400 hectares, intended for 400 hectares. High value craft development program of assorted vegetable seeds at 50 kilograms. Yan po yung report ng DA. Next slide, please. For the human settlements and urban development, ito po yung information na nabigay sa amin. They have informed the LGUs for the provision of rental subsidy under Track A. And they are allocating 1,000 pesos per family as emergency shelter financial assistance for totally damaged housing units. And they are coordinating with the UN International Organization Migration for about 500 shelter-grade tarpaulins. I-coordinate pa po nila ito. They are in the process of negotiations with the IOM. Next slide po. For the National Housing Authority, continuous coordination with the LGUs in assessing the damaged houses in preparation for the packaging for emergency housing assistance also, or the EHAP. And they are proposing to request for 25 M pesos as cash grant assistance to families with damaged houses in the region. So they, back. They are proposing 200,000 pesos for totally damaged houses and 10,000 pesos for partially damaged houses. Next slide, please. Ito naman po sa DOLE, distributed per province and three sectors in Pangasinan. For immediate implementation po yung kanilang gathered the fund initiatives of district and party representatives, totaling to 87 million pesos for targeted 20,038 beneficiaries. At may additional fund po for implementation ng Emergency Response Fund with a total amount of 20.39 million, which is intended for 5,027 beneficiaries, or a total of 107.6 million pesos for a total beneficiary of 25,065.
65.
Next slide, please. Sa ating mga na-deploy po na uniform service na nagtumulong sa immediate search and rescue, yung Naval Forces Northern Luzon po, Joint Task Force Karagatan, nag-provide po sila ng 30 packs teams ng water search and rescue. Initially po, 2 rubber boats for Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur. First, sa ano po ito na-deploy sa Ilocos Sur. Then, nung gumaan na po sa Ilocos Sur, nag-swing po ito pataas sa Ilocos Norte. And then, sa Coast Guard naman po, districts sa Northwestern Luzon, which is in Gurimao, they provided rubber boats. I think may typographical error. Dalawa po ito. Plus 3 SAR teams of 13 packs. Yung atin pong Coast Guard sa Manila, nagpadala ng tao na 24 na tao. At I believe they also provided 2 boats. Yung po medyo sa tagal ng biyahe nila, medyo hindi na po masyadong nagamit. Sa Philippine Army po, ng 501st Brigade, they provided a man truck. And pang ano po ito, evacuation ng haul ng evacuees. So sa 4th Marine Brigade po na nakadestino sa Burgos, Ilocos Sur, meron po silang isang watercraft na pinadala at mga vehicles po for the mobilization of supplies and evacuation of affected individuals. Yung ating 525th Engineer Brigade po, under ng 51st Engineer, 525th Engineer Battalion.
Ano yung KM500, KM250, what is that?
Ang ano po, pag nakikita nyo sa highway, ito pong 250, ito po yung pinakamaliit na version ng troop carrier ng Army.
Okay.
Ang katapat naman po ng mas malaki-laki na parang M35, 5-tonner, ito pong KM500.
Oh, sige. I understand. Okay.
450 po, ito yung malaki-laki na. So ito po, nanggaling pa itong 525th Engineering Combat Battalion, galing pa po ito sa Libis. Diretso po ito dito sa Lawag. Medyo nagda-die down na po yung yung search and rescue, kaya nagamit po sila sa ibang activities na. Next slide, please. We are thankful for the PDRIMO Pangasinan for helping out in Ilocos Norte. Ito po yung kanilang dineploy. The Army personnel are the reservists. They provided 5 rubber boats. Correction. Yung nasa kanila po yung jet ski. Correction po. Dream on ng La Union. Maraming salamat po, Gob, for the jet ski also. Ito po yung nagtatawag po kami ng Dream on sa different provinces kasi po kailangan tulong dito sa Ilocos Sur and lalo na po sa Ilocos Norte. Kaya nung pumayag, medyo pasalamat po kami sa mga PDRIMOs nyo sa kanilang pagtungod sa aming request po. Medyo delikado po nung Wednesday night. Kahit gabi na po, nag-search and rescue sila. Pero yun nga po, medyo malakas ang agos, hindi rin sila masyadong nakagalaw. Ito po, mga pictorials na lang po ito. Kung ano nangyari nung nahunang response nila. Slide. Next slide. Slide. So that's all, Mr. President. Thank you and good day.
All right, thank you. Okay, it's useful to find out what are the average, but I think that altogether, very clearly it's Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur with La Union. La Union, for whatever reason, it's the infrastructure that has been damaged. The biggest damage that La Union has suffered from Egay. Everyone has suffered from agricultural damage. Kaya kailangan natin talagang tignan na mabuti yan so that we in the DA can respond quickly. So continue to send, as I said earlier, kahit hindi pa kumpleto, padala nyo sa amin mga report ninyo para makapaghanda naman kami, especially, I'm talking on the national government. Just keep sending us the reports para makapaghanda kami, makapag-source kami kung ano yung kailangan pa. I think food packs were okay. So if we are in the relief phase now, pagkain na lang yan. Yung tubig, kailangan natin, we have to find a way to get more of those purification units. I think there are more. MMDA yung marami. The last time they were able to send 6. So, tignan natin because yun ang magiging critical. We can only bring so many bottles of water. Yung single-use pa ito, bawal dito. So, so let's anyway. So, but that's going to be the next. Meron tayong. It's for the medical side. Meron tayong mga medical teams na umikot para dun sa mga, ewan ko, nasaktan, nasugatan, nagsakit, hinika, whatever.
Yes, in Ilocos Norte, I think you've already established several that are going around, and that's what I was going to mention, if I may add. Human life is primordial that we preserve during a disaster, and we have had some deaths. It's important we institute some free consults and some roving medical teams. We've done that already in Ilocos Norte, but we need the help of the DOH so that they can provide the medicines for those who suffered cardiac arrest. There's quite a few during the storm. I think there's diabetes medicine required, hypertension medicine, and of course the inevitable infections that will arise, cholera, dysentery, and even dengue. Siguro mabuti mag-launch na rin ang Oplandalus because there's stagnant pools of water in the entire province, and that's one. Unmentioned has been the DOH. Secondly, I'd also like to report the unfortunate timing of this typhoon, which arrived exactly 1 month before the opening of class, August 28th. The schools have suffered significant damage. I don't think they're within the capability of the Brigada Escuela. So I don't know where we will be able to do this. Bangsirit in Bacara, for example, Arusip, Nagrebkan, Lanao National School, a lot of the schools in Palyas and in Solid North Bintar, these are all unusable, and within the month we will be starting. Saan kaya makakakuha ng tulong, Mr. President, the DPWH, dahil yung DepEd, sabi nila talagang hirap sila dyan. Ikatlo, namomroblema po kami dyan sa housing, in as much as the, ayoko magsumbo nga, pero yung DSUD medyo unresponsive. Santa Praxedes in Cagayan, as well as many groups in uplands, Ilocos Sur, are already requesting housing assistance, as we saw. And yet, after the transfer from DSWD to DSUD, we're not certain where to go. So, to all of you, perhaps we can resolve these issues, and the President can help us here.
All right, thank you. Yes, those are the general elements that you. I'm surprised that the DSUD is not here, because they generally come immediately to. Oh, you. So, what is the response that DSUD is have for those? Usually, may emergency response ang DSUD for the different yung mga damage na ganyan, housing.
We called the secretary, and the office said just go ask NHA. They did not refer us to the region,
That's
and
also true.
it's a little bit confusing.
Good morning, Mr. President,
So, yes, NHA.
Senator Aimee. There's a letter sent already to the various LGUs seeking the names that will be given assistance, those that will be given that suffered totally damaged houses.
All right. Okay.
And also
See,
there will be shelter grade tarps that will be given to.
I know that DSUD always has a emergency response for the destroyed houses, especially. Yun ang pinaprioritize nila. So now the problem is the schools. We have to probably get supplemental funding. And there's also there's also this upcoming issue of who does it, the LGU or the national government. Yeah. So well, anyway, those are
Maybe the
the.
calamity funds, the contingency
It
funds.
will
of the
have to
President.
come out of the.
Calamity,
We'll find it.
contingency.
We'll find it. We have to.
QRF.
Have you made an assessment of what are the damages? What will it? How much will it take? to
Maraming
fix?
bubong, karamihan mga bubong, totally ripped off, and many of them, yung mga coastal, yung mga poste, syempre, tangay kalahati ng classroom.
Okay. Oh, sige.
Andito,
We'll ask. Give
it's
me.
complete na, actually.
No, sige. That is Ilocos Norte?
Yeah, that's Norte
Oh, we
pa
have to
lang.
get also from,
I'm sure
La
Sur and
Union
the
and
rest have
Ilocos Sur.
similar problems.
Yes, I'm sure it's exactly the same. Pero yung infrastructure, I don't know how. I don't think the infrastructure is the figures there include damaged school buildings. So I think I'm correct in assuming that it's because it is not under the DPWH, although there will be the implementing agency at some point. Depends on how we do it. But in a month, what can we do in a
Yeah.
month?
That's right. Well, in many cases, these are roofs, so I think it can be done quickly, hopefully. And again, we'd like to reiterate the request for medicine.
For?
Because, yes,
For medicine?
yes, I think we need a lot of medicine, given that we should be undertaking free consults all over the region. The 3 regions, as a matter of fact, Region 1, 2, CAR, as well as the areas in Bulacan and Pampanga that are clearly underwater as well.
The problem with the medical teams is it's not so much here. Generally, we put a medical team in each of or a roving medical team, and there's a medical team for the evacuation centers.
Yes.
Pero marami nang
Kaya ng-
nakabalik.
Kaya ng lokal, yung
so-
medical team, kulang sa medisina, and yun nga, the hypertension, high blood, diabetes, the usual, and then the infection, of course, that will be spreading
Here's
very
the thing:
shortly.
we can only procure common medicines, not prescription medicines.
That's fine, as long as they're in the national formulary, will be all right.
They need to see a doctor, and a doctor has to prescribe the medicine. We're not allowed to do that. We can buy it, but it still has to be the doctor still has to see them, and a doctor still has to say that they need their maintenance, whatever it is.
Marami tayong doktor sa lokal, okay lang muna.
Mr. President, if I may also, DOH actually, the storm hit Tuesday afternoon, and DOH actually quickly sent supplies both Wednesday and Thursday, including medicine. So we're quite grateful for that. With regard to housing, if I may, I talked to RD Rick earlier. I think it's 10K also cash assistance. If I may humbly recommend, in times of extreme calamity like this, cash is actually not
very useful.
that helpful.
Yeah.
So I think if we can, there should be a mechanism wherein construction materials or temporary shelters or tents are actually distributed in the first phase of recovery. And then obviously later on, the cash can then be used. But the construction materials are really primary.
We'll do both. The reason that we give cash very soon after is because there are things that people need that are not included in the relief goods. For example, medicines or baby care, things like this, formula, yung mga ganon, na hindi kasama sa mga pack natin. So at some point, I remember nung last time, hiningian tayo, sabi cash na kasi marami kaming kailangan bilhin na hindi nga kasama, kailangan namin na pambili. So that's why we do both. We do both. There comes a point after which they've settled, especially if they're in the evacuation centers. Once they've settled themselves there, yung needs nila, the basic needs are all provided for: water, food, shelter. They have the tents, etc. Ang sumusunod dyan, hihingi na ng cash. Because kailangan nga nilang bumili ng mga bagay na hindi kasama sa food pack, hindi kasama sa sanitary pack, hindi kasama sa hygiene kit, hindi kasama sa mga ganun.
Are we
So
still
that's
at the
why
same levels, 10,000 and 30,000?
for
And then yung totally damaged?
10,000 for the partial and 20.
And what about the totally
20
damaged? Kaya nga, pero magkano yung sa totally damaged?
10,000. Hindi, totally 20.
Separate po yung sa NHA 20 po.
20.
And then there will be from this wood 10,000 for the totally damaged po.
10,000 lang totally damaged.
20,000.
20 also from the NHA.
Oh, there's from the NHA also. Yeah.
Yeah,
So walang nalilito ako, 20 plus 10. 20 plus 10 ang sinasabi mo. Sa partial,
Sa partial,
parang kasi
ilan yung
parang
sa-
ang gulo kasi sa DSUD at saka sa NHA. Natsuchubibo kami, paikot-ikot, pabalik-balik. Pwede lang sabihin kagad kasi they urgently need it. Sabi nga ni Gov. Jerry, wala nga silang mauwian, kaya nandiyan pa rin sa evacuation center.
Sorry, if I may, as far as I know, it's all cash-based.
That's
So I
right.
think
It's all cash-based.
my
There's
humble
no income.
suggestion, if it's possible, that construction materials are also considered, because as of now, basically we house them in tents or sa evac centers. In the meantime, their house is in shambles. No, so as far as I know, if I'm not mistaken, there is no agency that provides construction materials in times of emergency. So I
Yeah,
am
that's
humbly
correct.
recommending that I think that be considered in the future.
Yes, that's correct. There are certain barangays like Lasien, for example, in Badok, there are unreachable. There's no hardware store where they can procure the GI sheets, the pako, and lahat ng kinakailangan para itayo ulit ang bahay.
Yeah.
They moved it out kasi of DSWD. Now it's magulo. It's all cash eh.
Kasi sa Yolanda, ganun din ang ginawa namin.
We just buy the GI sheets,
Kaya
remember?
namili kami ng marami kasi makamura ka pati. Pati martilyo, pati lagari, pati pako, pinamimigay namin.
And they're
Tapos
not
yung
substandard.
GI
Isa pa
sheet,
yun.
2x4, 2x2.
Can that be part and parcel of a special effort to re-roof both the school buildings as well as the houses? To re-roof all the houses and the special and the school buildings.
We'll look first at the list and see how we're going to go about
Kasi
it, and then
marami-rami sila eh.
and then how we're going to pay for it. Where will we get the? There are emergency funds that we can access. Okay. All right. I think that's a fairly thorough overview of Region 1. So, is there anything else that anybody would like to add? Okay, thank you all very much. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.